Today we will be discussing the greenhouse effect in global warming. By the end of today's class, you should be able to describe the greenhouse effect and list the possible causes. You should also be able to list the possible causes and consequences of global warming. Atmospheric scientists first used the term greenhouse effect in the early 1800s. At that time, it was used to describe the naturally occurring functions of trace gases in the atmosphere and did not have any negative connotations. It was not until the mid-1950s that the term greenhouse effect was coupled with concerns over climate change. The greenhouse effect is the rise in temperature that the Earth experiences because certain gases in the atmosphere trap energy from the sun. These gases include water vapor, carbon dioxide, nitrous oxide, and methane. Carbon dioxide is one of the greenhouse gases. It consists of one carbon atom with an oxygen bonded to each side. When its atoms are bound tightly together, the carbon dioxide molecule can absorb infrared radiation and the molecule starts to vibrate. Eventually, the vibrating molecule will emit the radiation again, and it will likely be absorbed by yet another greenhouse molecule. This absorption-emission-absorption cycle serves to keep the heat near the surface, effectively insulating the surface from the cold of space. Because of how they warm the Earth, these gases are referred to as greenhouse gases. Without these gases, the heat would actually escape back into space and Earth's average temperature would be about 60 degrees Fahrenheit colder. The greenhouse gases make Earth suitable for life because they heat up the Earth. Next, I'm going to give you a few examples of the greenhouse effect. One is going to be the greenhouse. Another one is going to be an example of a car parked in the sun. The ideas behind them are the same, but slightly different. Greenhouses are used to grow plants, especially in the winter. Greenhouses work by trapping heat from the sun. The glass panels in the greenhouse let in light but keep the heat from escaping. This causes the greenhouse to heat up and keeps the plants warm enough to live in the winter. Okay, next is the example of a car parked in sunlight. In the same aspect, the glass will let in the light and the infrared radiation that is transmitted by sun-warmed objects does not pass readily through the glass. The entrapment of this energy warms the interior of the vehicle. Therefore, even on a cold day, the bright sunlight will effectively warm your car by the greenhouse effect. Just a little fun fact, even though you may be uncomfortably warm with bright sunlight streaming through, you will not be sunburned because ultraviolet radiation does not enter through the glass of the car. Alright, next we will be going a little bit through the process of the greenhouse effect. The greenhouse gases in the atmosphere behave much like the glass panes in the greenhouse in a car. So they warm up the Earth. Basically, of course, the sunlight's not going through the glass, but it's actually going through the ozone instead, which has the same effect. There are two things that can happen when sunlight or solar radiation enters the Earth's atmosphere. Some sunlight will enter the Earth's atmosphere and pass through the blanket of greenhouse gases to reach the surface of the Earth and warm it. The other thing that can happen is the solar radiation can also be reflected by the Earth and the atmosphere to return back out to space. Just a little bit more on the process. As energy from the sun passes through the atmosphere, a number of things take place. A portion of the energy, and actually 26% globally, is reflected or scattered back to space by clouds and atmospheric particles. About 19% of the energy available is absorbed by clouds, gases like the ozone, and particles in the atmosphere. Of the remaining 55% of their solar energy passing through the Earth's atmosphere, 4% is reflected from the surface back to space. On average, about 51% of the sun's radiation reaches the surface. So you only get about half of the energy that is actually coming in from the sun that will reach the surface of the earth and keep it warm. Now, the energy is used for multiple things, but just some examples would be, of course, heating the ground, because that's what actually helps Earth stay warm, would be the melting of ice and snow, so it's not snow all year round, the evaporation of water, and also, of course, plant photosynthesis. There are many possible causes of the greenhouse effect. I'll try not to bore you too much with all the causes, but we do have to go through them. While the Earth temperature is dependent upon the greenhouse effect, the amount of heating and cooling is strongly influenced by several factors. One man-made cause of the greenhouse effect is deforestation, or simply cutting down trees. Since the trees are disappearing, deforestation increases the amount of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere because photosynthesis cannot take place. And as you guys have already learned from photosynthesis, that the plants will use carbon dioxide to make glucose. The farming and land use processes for agriculture increase the amount of land that undergoes deforestation. For the next part, greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide are released into the atmosphere by burning of fossil fuels, gasoline, oil, coal, and wood. These fossil fuels are used in industries and for automobiles, which play a major role in the increased amounts of greenhouse gases. Other man-made causes of the increase in the greenhouse effect is the emission of chlorofluorocarbons, or CFCs. CFCs were used in refrigerators, aerosol cans, some foaming agents in the packing industry, fire extinguisher chemicals, and cleaners used in the electronic industry. CFCs would destroy the ozone layer, which protects us from the harmful ultraviolet radiation. With the growing awareness of the harmful effects of these gases, CFCs were banned from all of these products. The next one, population growth is an indirect contributor of the greenhouse effect. The increase in population increases the manufacturing industry processes. This results in the increased industrial gases into the atmosphere, which enhances the greenhouse effect. The increase in population also results in the increase of agricultural processes. The greenhouse effect is actually beneficial to the Earth. The problem occurs when human-made processes increase its speed. Now, why is the greenhouse effect so dangerous? I mean, that's the main thing people want to know is why it's such a bad thing. Actually, the amount of heat energy added to the atmosphere by the greenhouse effect is controlled by the concentration of greenhouse gases in the Earth's atmosphere. And like I said before, all those consequences increase the greenhouse gases. And all of the major greenhouse gases have increased in concentration since the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. As a result of these higher concentrations, scientists predict that the greenhouse effect will be enhanced and the Earth's climate will be warmer, causing global warming. The warming of the Earth causes climates to change, therefore causing animal adaptations to change, leading to endangered and extinct species. Animals' environments and habitats are also changed, such as the melting of glaciers in the poles cause the polar bears to become endangered.